Hello there, this is Ty the Movie Guy, and May is coming to an end, so I thought let's stop and rank all the new movies that I watched in the month of May. So, let's talk about it.
Fire, you son of a great power comes great responsibility.
My brother and a
You do this all day. I am Iron Man. Why so serious?
I am the Kandek, the destroyer of worlds.
And before we get started, I just want to bring up a couple movies that I have not seen yet that came out in the month of May. We got a couple of horror movies that came out this month with Bring Her Back and Final Destination, and both of them look pretty decent to me. It's just I'm not a crazy horror guy, so I the only time I like go out to the theater to see a horror movie if it's something that's like really interesting to me. So I'll just wait to watch that at home basically, and I haven't seen any of the Final Destination movies yet. So maybe one day I'll binge all of them and then watch the new one, but I'm not too crazy about the whole super violent death comes for us all. I don't know, that's just not kind of my thing. I like horror, but just that in general doesn't really jump out at me. And then also Lilo and Stitch, the live action remake, did come out this year, but if you know me, you know I am a firm hater of Disney live action remakes, so I'm practically just boycotting all of them. Lilo and Stitch, the original, was actually quite nostalgic to me as a kid, opposed to more like the Disney princess stuff. So out of all of like the live action remakes, this would be one that I actually would want to see in theaters, but I'm just like, I'm sticking to my word, and I do not want to give the money and show any support for this kind of trash basically. Like, I want new stuff, so I'm not gonna give them my money. And then lastly, also a movie with Paul Rudd called Friendship came out, and it looks kind of weird and kooky and funny and whatever, and I like Paul Rudd, so I'll give that a watch eventually when it comes to digital. But with all that said, we got 6 movies to talk about, so let's talk about them. Easily coming in last place, we have Hurry Up Tomorrow. And months ago when the trailer first came out, I basically knew right away this movie was going to be bad. It just kind of gave off like this artsy fartsy metaphorical vibe, and that just didn't really have much substance to it. And basically the movie was exactly that, and just with all the reviews that came out prior to me watching this movie, I knew it was going to be bad, but I still just wanted to go anyways because the middle weeks of May were just kind of really dry with movies, so I was just on withdrawals with movies basically. I just needed my fix. I needed to go see something, so I took a couple work friends to go see this movie because one of them is a big Weekend fan. So I thought if I were to take anyone to this movie, might as well take someone who's an actual Weekend fan, so maybe he'll get a little bit of something out of it. And you know, the best part of this movie was probably Jenna Ortega dancing. That was pretty hot, but also adding a couple songs to my playlist from his new album. But just, yeah, everything else about this movie was just so bad. It just tried so hard to be like this big artsy metaphorical A24 kind of vibe about his breakup with his ex or whatever, but it's actually, I don't know, my work friend was trying to explain what it's actually about. It's about his own battle with himself, I guess, and he's trying to explain that through an ex-girlfriend that I don't even think exists and everything. And yeah, it just, like, right off the bat, it starts really stupid with him just going and that just went on way too long. And then also just The Weeknd is not a good actor. You've probably seen that specific scene on Instagram already. He's just not a great actor. So yeah, not many redeeming qualities. Just the music was good, and Jenna Ortega is a baddie, so that's like basically the only redeeming qualities of this movie. Yeah, but I knew it was gonna be bad, but I needed my movie fix. I needed to go to the theater, so that is what I went to go see a couple weeks ago, and I got to log it on Letterboxd, so at least that's something. Coming in 5th place, we have Fountain of Youth. And this is just your like stereotypical streaming movie where you get like your big name actors like John Krasinski, Natalie Portman, and you just like shove them into like this generic genre, like treasure hunting vibe, and then it's just designed for streaming. It's designed for you to like watch at home when you're like flicking through movies on your streaming service, and for you to be on your phone while watching it, which is basically what I did. I was like playing Tetris for half the movie because it was just boring and generic and not funny whatsoever, but it tried too hard to be funny. It's just, it's sad to see like actors I like just like being a part of just this this new conglomerate trash of movies that like come out like all the time nowadays. Just yeah, it's just these streaming movies, like 90% of them are really bad, and this one is definitely one of those. It's just yeah, I don't know what to say. I saw it literally just for the actors I liked and just for another movie to add to this list. Basically, it's just yeah, there's just so many other adventure movies you could watch instead of this. Like you could literally easily, Indiana Jones is the big one. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, Indiana Jones, easily. I could watch Indiana Jones just a million times instead of watching this movie. Or like The Mummy. Mummy's a great movie too. Jumanji, just watch any of that like over instead of this. I don't know why anyone would want to watch this besides, yeah, just adding something on Letterboxd, and or if you're in my situation, yeah, adding something to talk about, or you know, just seeing some actors you like. But yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of redundant with the fact where it's like, we go to this place, we have an action scene, Natalie Portman's all like, oh my god, I don't want to do this, like why, like this is what dad would want. And then John Krasinski's like, yes, dad would want it. Do you want to just like live your normal life, or do you want the adventure? And then it happens again. Natalie Portman's like, oh, I don't want to do this, my kid's in danger, I want to go home. And then John Krasinski's like, no, we have to, dad would want us to, blah 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 blah. And then specifically at the end of the movie, when they finally get to the Fountain of Youth, I don't know if I'd say the CGI was bad, just the way people were like floating and the water was like flowing around them and everything, it just looked really, really goofy. So yeah, all in all, just watch any other adventure movie, watch Indiana Jones over this. This was just not a good movie, and it's just, yeah, it's sad seeing like actors I like just signing on for basically just a paycheck or whatever. So yeah, that's why it comes in 5th place. And coming in 4th place, we have Karate Kid Legends. And for me at least, it was pretty fun watching the original Karate Kid movies, rewatching like the first two, and then seeing some of the sequels for the first time leading up to this film. It was just a fun little binge to give me an excuse to, yeah, rewatch some of those movies and experience some of them for the first time. But this movie in general, I think the major problem that lots of people are bringing up, and I definitely agree with, is it's just a little too samey to the original Karate Kid and also the 2010 one, where it's like kid moves to new city and then meets this girl, and then the girl's ex like hates him because he's trying to get with his ex, and then you know he bullies him, and then he learns karate and then defeats him in a tournament. And it's very samey to the original and the 2010 one. And for me specifically, just since I watched all of them back to back to back, I really noticed it like, okay, this is very much the same thing. It's getting a little old, guys. They did manage to change it a little bit, where when he fights the bully in the tournament in the original and 2010, there's like the scene is basically the exact same, where they go to the bad guy's dojo and then they say, hey, quit being a bully, and then the bully's master's like, well, how about we fight in the tournament? And then it's like, okay, if he fights in the tournament, you leave him alone. So in the older movies, it was like exactly the same, but at least for this one, they change up why he joins the tournament, and it's more because he's trying to raise money for the girl's dad's pizzeria. So I like that they changed it a little bit in that sense, but also with the pizzeria guy and whatever, he's a boxer, and the kid's like trying to teach him like kung fu and to like incorporate into his boxing and everything. And I feel like that took up a big portion of the film that they, you know, should have spent elsewhere with like actual karate stuff and more about like the kid doing his own thing. So that was a little weird, but some of the pluses were seeing Jackie Chan was really cool. Like I don't have like any nostalgia to the 2010 movie, but I just like Jackie Chan, and I just like returning characters even if I don't have the same nostalgia. And then also seeing Ralph Macchio, I think was really cool. Like I do really like the original Karate Kid movie, and it even inspired me to take karate, and it was actually really boring. I only did that for like 1 year, but yeah, I really like the original. So seeing Ralph Macchio come back was just kind of blatant fan service, but I ate it up. Like if he wasn't in this movie, I probably wouldn't have seen it in theaters. But yeah, just seeing him, he didn't do too much, but he was there to help train a little bit, and then seeing him and Jackie Chan kind of like banter with each other about like whose technique is better. And then there's this whole scene where they're both just like beating the shit out of the kid, like saying, no, you must do this, and then just, yeah, they're just attacking this kid, and that scene was pretty funny. And then also I think there was like a couple cool songs in the film, and also some cool like editing styles where there's like this, like they do like animation for some flashbacks and whatever, and also like during the fighting scenes, whenever they do like punch someone in the head or the body or whatever, it goes like 1 point, 2 point, and then there's like little animation scenes for that or whatever. So I thought that was like cool use of animation, and kind of just separated it a little bit more from the original, because, you know, that's just like definitely more of a modern thing to do, to incorporate animation into a film like this. They would never do something like that in the 80s. So I like that they added a bit of a modern flair to make it a bit more unique. But yeah, all in all, it was a fine Legacy sequel, but nothing crazy, just kind of your run-of-the-mill Legacy sequel. So that's why it comes in 4th place. Coming in 3rd place, we have Wick is Pain. And this is a tough one to kind of rank, because, you know, this is a documentary about John Wick. So it's like, you know, there's no narrative whatsoever. It's literally just like people talking about the movie and like showing like behind the scenes of the movie and stuff like that. So in that sense, it did a really good job. I like to learn about movies I enjoy, so it definitely accomplished what I wanted it to accomplish. I had fun watching it and learning about how each John Wick film was made, and it was just insightful to learn that there was lots of struggles in making these films regarding like Keanu Reeves' career. He was, prior to these movies, he was kind of in a bit of a slump, and like the getting the funds for this film was also quite hard, and the whole death of the dog thing was also just like considered movie sin. So there was like lots of struggles regarding that, and lots of like uncertainties and fear with that. And it was just, yeah, it was like, I didn't know how much of a like an underdog story specifically the first movie was. Now I know. So yeah, I definitely recommend this to anyone who's a big John Wick fan. It's fun to learn about this film franchise, and learning about these different stunt guys and how they all came together to make this film and everything. And it gives you like a new appreciation for this franchise and everything. And just, yeah, I really want to just like rewatch all of them and kind of like just put into context like what was going on behind the scenes, and like how much they really put into this film. Like specifically Keanu Reeves, like he was pushed to the limit. Like he was just like throwing up and just like limping. He just like put his all into this film, and I just have like a total like new appreciation for this film, and it just gets me really excited for Ballerina in a week. So I really hope with this documentary and with all the past John Wick films, they can keep it going and like have all the same chutzpah that they did with the original films, and put it into their spin-offs like Ballerina. So yeah, all in all, if you're a John Wick fan, definitely give this documentary a watch. Coming in 2nd place, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And right off the bat, I feel like I have a bit of a bias to this film just because it's like the finale of the Mission Impossible franchise. So I just feel like it gets a little bit more emotional and sentimental because it's like the last time we're seeing these characters and everything. And me personally, I binged all of the past Mission Impossible movies back in 2023, somewhat just for fun to like finally get into the franchise, and also to prepare for Dead Reckoning that came out back in 2023 and everything like that. So I don't have like the biggest nostalgia for this whole franchise, but still, anyways, it was fun watching all of the past movies, and now like seeing the conclusion. I'm so glad that I got to see Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning both in theaters. These are definitely big theater movies. I wish I was able to see some of the past movies in theaters, but at least I got to see the final two in theaters. Just the whole conclusion thing I think was really cool. Lots of people are saying stuff like there's like lots of plot holes and stuff, and like really talky and too many like flashbacks and callbacks and whatever. Me personally, I kind of like the callbacks specifically to Mission Impossible 3. I think Mission Impossible 3 is like very underrated and is one of my favorite of the franchise. So tying back to that one specifically, I really enjoyed in all of that. Yes, there's like plot holes with like certain scenes where he definitely should have died and whatever and stuff like that. And I think just like with action films like this, you really gotta like kind of tweak your believability with some of these films, like of course Mission Impossible and like stuff like John Wick and everything like that. So yeah, I think I'm more accustomed to like letting my guard down and just enjoying the experience and stuff like that. And there was definitely some really cool action scenes in this film. Like I was really curious how they were gonna top the bike off the mountain thing in Dead Reckoning. and I don't think they did really top it. I think that still remains as probably like the coolest like Mission Impossible stunt of all time. Riding a bike off a mountain and then like flying down with a parachute just still remains as like the greatest Mission Impossible stunt. But I think the whole submarine thing of this film, I don't know if that scene was really dangerous per se, but I just think it was still like a really, really cool scene to watch and just still really edge of your seat kind of stuff. And then also the plane scene at the end of this film was also really, really cool to see Tom Cruise, a 60-year-old man, hanging off the bottom of a plane. That's super dangerous, and of course, but he's kind of already hung off of planes and stuff like that. So while watching the film, I didn't really put in perspective how dangerous it was, but then like watching behind the scenes footage, like after watching the film and realizing that they were flying in a canyon and they were really, really close to the ground, gives me a new like appreciation for that whole scene and like a realization that it was actually a lot more dangerous than I thought it was. So some really cool stunts in this film, like some of the best of the franchise, but still not as great as Dead Reckoning. So yeah, all in all, I think it was just a really solid finale to this whole franchise, and I pray I don't really want them to do another one, because it would kind of take away from this one, and also it just, once you get more and more films, they all kind of just merge together and get a little similar to me. But if they do a couple spin-offs, I would be totally okay with that. All in all, pretty solid finale to this franchise, and that's why it comes in second place. But easily coming in first place, we have the Thunderbolts, and this just really feels like the good old days of Marvel, where they like set up each character in like different films and series and everything, and then they bring them all together for a team-up film like this. And yeah, just like seeing these like characters like with banter with each other and everything and coming together was just really, really cool. And then also like the deeper meaning about depression and how all of these characters are rejects and they lack purpose in life and everything, and then they find purpose with each other is just also like just a really cool thing to have in like a superhero movie and everything. And it's also just like a really like relatable thing for like everyone and stuff like that. And also just speaking about some of the characters, like some of the standouts, like I love Yelena, I love Bucky, I love Red Guardian, I love US Agent, I love our new Bob character. I think Ghost coming back was pretty cool. She didn't have too much to do. And then Taskmaster kind of pissed me off dying right away, but I can get over that, I guess. And it just gets me really excited for the future of Marvel. I haven't been this excited for Marvel in a really, really long time. Just this film being as good as it was in general, and then also specifically the after credits of the film teasing the Fantastic Four was really, really cool. We haven't gotten like this much connectivity in like a Marvel film since like, I don't know, like seeing Captain Marvel back in Infinity War. Like we haven't gotten like that tease that we used to get back in the day. So yeah, just all of it just feels so much like the good old days, and the thing about depression and the practical effects and all of that, it was just all really, really cool, and just gets me really, really excited for the future and seeing these characters in Avengers Doomsday and everything. So yeah, all in all, this is my favorite movie of May 2025. I would love to hear your thoughts of all the movies you watched in May 2025, and I will see you next month. Hopefully, maybe I'll rank the June movies, because June is a great month for movies. I have a little list on Letterboxd just like reminding me which movies are coming out in June, and there's like 9 total movies, so I don't know if I'll be able to see all of them because I feel like my friends will just hate me if I take them to the movies that many times and everything. But I don't know, maybe I'll go to the theater by myself if I have to, if I really want to see something. But yeah, all in all, see you in June, and farewell.